Hello, loves. Welcome back. I want to have a chat with you today about something that I am present with here, real time in my life, in the past 4 or 5 days. And it is around a conversation of prioritizing, prioritizing ourselves. And it's this, so there's this exercise that I learned, I don't know, like 4 years ago, and it has been really, really helpful and profound for me on and off over the past 4 years, depending on the season of life that I'm in. It's not something that I have done like as a practice every single day for the past 4 years, but it's just been in ebbs and flows depending on the season that I'm in. And so I'm going to share that at the end. But I want to give some context to all of this. And it's the truth that you get to choose. We get to choose. I get to choose. Like, you get to choose what you're available for. So last week, I went and visited. My brother lives out of town, and I went there. He was traveling. I was going there to take care of his dog while he was traveling, and I had all kinds of plans for things that I was going to accomplish. The last time I went and stayed with his dog, I it was such a productive time for me work-wise that I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to be another great experience." Where like I've got this list of all these things I'm going to do. I'm going to get organized and blah, 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 blah. I get there late Wednesday night. I wake up Thursday morning and I am cramping. I had started my period. It was not like debilitating, take me out kind of like pain. Okay. It was very uncomfortable. I was not 100% absolutely true. I was not 100%. And I like felt my body was needing to rest. Like I felt like my body was saying like, "Hey Joss, we need to rest. We just need to rest. We just need to be." And I didn't want to. I was like, but the list, I want to get the list done, but then I was trying to get some of the things on the list done and it was not happening. It just was not, it wasn't working. And so I finally listened to my body and I rested and I just allowed myself to be. And I had the space to do it. And so I did for a very extended period of time. And the whole reason why I share this is because a previous version of Jess um, that was working full time, that was married, that was supporting, like a household, like taking care of a house and, cooking meals for someone else and, for us, and who was also heavily involved in ministry and church and like volunteer serving in that capacity, and then also going through a season of even supporting, my then husband's businesses and supporting him and all of that. Like there was a lot of stuff going on that literally would have been like, there's no time to rest. There's no time. Like literally, look at all these things. Look at all of this stuff that I have to do. All these people depend on me. All of these commitments that I have, and really feeling almost like a sense of um and I can use these words now, but I didn't identify it then, but like a powerlessness almost of like, I have to do these things. And a weird, trippy experience where I loved aspects of all of the things. And so I don't want to not do the things because I love them and I love the people involved in them. But also I'm exhausted and I'm also just in a state of just like there's just no time, you know? So that was like past life. So past life version of Jess would not have done that. And if if it would have been debilitating enough that I needed to actually stop and slow down, I would have just been like a victim to it. Like I would have been, oh my gosh. Yeah, I would have been like, oh my gosh, like they're the worst cramps and like, oh, I can't function. I need to call in. I can't function. And oh my gosh, I and like making it a really big deal, making it a really big deal that I needed to stop my life, because it's the only way that I could have justified um, not showing up for people and not showing up for all the things, right? Is like there had to be a justifiable reason. And so then I needed to sensationalize it. And I'm not trying to say, gosh, as I'm saying that out loud, I'm not trying to say that if you're in a position where you need to like put your life on pause, where you need to like call in and get, because you're sick and because your cramps are really bad or something, I'm not trying to say that you're sensationalizing. Okay. Like this stuff is real. This, it's real. I know women that have debilitating periods where they literally are down for the count for a couple of days, and there's nothing that they can do. Like they literally have to. Okay, so hear me on that. I'm talking about my own experience here. So for present day Jess to be in a space where she would choose to listen to her body, like that I would choose to be available for being able to like listen to what my needs are, like this was so foreign. This was so foreign 10 years ago. I would even venture to say, even like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, it was still pretty foreign, to be able to connect with like, oh, actually, like I'm needing rest, I'm needing time, because I was so focused. Like growing up in the church, I learned so much about, like I took in a story that like being of service to people is like the ultimate way to like love the world around us. And so, and of course, like I love serving, so that will always be a part of who I am. But to my detriment, like that is not, in my opinion, that is not God's design. It's not God's design for us to give. The Bible doesn't talk about how you're supposed to sacrifice yourself. I feel like those were teachings that I received in going to the church. Um, that was my translation of that messaging of like, uh, love as Christ loved the church and gave his life. Like that was the kind of stuff I would hear. And the way that I would translate that message would be like, oh, so I need to like practically kill myself to be of service to others because then that's like being like Christ. Okay. And that's not healthy. And that's not what that means. Is not what that means. So, uh, yeah, learning how to make ourselves a priority and be available to self-care and loving ourselves and giving ourselves space to like, learn how to like listen to ourselves. If you have grown up in a space similar to what I was just explaining, where you learned to just put everybody else first, and I'm also just going to say, I feel like we live in a society where it's normalized, which I do think that some of this is kind of changing, but more of years of my life than not, taking in this like belief that, oh, women are so good at multitasking, like we juggle so many different things, and almost like wearing it as this badge of honor, when actually it's like, whoever said that that's the way that we should function and that we should live our lives? Whoever said that? Multitasking, in my opinion, is over functioning, and being pulled in 50 different directions and being awake for 20 hours out of the 24 hours a day and getting, 3, 4 hours of sleep, 5, 6 hours of sleep at night, but it's not even restful because you can't calm down from the constant that's being, that is pulling you. Like, I don't, I, it doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work for me. Okay. But I feel like we live in a society that has in the past has promoted that and has talked about like, oh, just because we can doesn't mean that we should. Okay. So coming back to this conversation about what we're available for, if you are someone that struggles to prioritize yourself, start with 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. That's it. Start with 5 or 10 minutes in the morning, first thing, before you start anything else, before you get into the groove of taking care of the people in your household, going to work, running kids to places and doing all kinds of things. Like before you get into being of service to the world around you, start with being of service to yourself, okay? I think that the belief, at least this was like a belief that I had for a long time, is that being good means being available for everybody else's needs, everybody else's emotions, everybody else's emergencies. And by making by making that the belief, it turned into me being unavailable for my own needs, my own emotions, my own emergencies, right? And that's just something that we get to interrupt. We get to end that. That's a myth. That's a lie. We don't always have to be available to everybody else. And it doesn't make us bad for choosing ourselves and prioritizing ourselves. So, number one. Number two, your morning, you get to choose if you're available for your own needs first, or are you immediately available for everyone else's agenda? And I want you to listen to those words, okay? Listen to that. Because to be immediately available for everyone else's agenda, like when I think about those words, I think about this pressure that I have felt and put on myself of like, oh my gosh, I need to take care of this. I need to take care of this. And oh, I haven't responded to this person yet. And I haven't responded to this. And I haven't gotten this thing done, you know? And there's just like this pressure and like an immediacy to like getting it done. I think that just noticing that you have the ability to choose yourself first. Okay, so in the morning, choose. Like, I'm available for myself first. I'm available for myself first. Here's the thing that might happen for you if this is a new practice, okay? There might be a guilt response, and maybe you've experienced this already in the past, where you will feel like it's more uncomfortable and it's harder for you to take 10 minutes for yourself than it would be to give to somebody else for 2 or 3 hours. And that really speaks to the conditioning, right? The conditioning that's within you. So here's the medicine. The medicine in prioritizing ourselves by giving ourselves 10 minutes in the morning to be with ourselves, to learn about connecting with ourselves, to meditate, to even if it's just intentional breathing. If all it is sitting there and just breathing in deep and noticing your breath and just continuing to bring your attention to your breath, even a simple practice as much as that. Set a timer, you know, on your watch or on your phone or something, but like set a timer for yourself. And man, if 5 minutes is too much or 10 minutes is too much, like start at 3 and then build up. But if you are focused on like doing so much for everything around you and like juggling all of the things around you, there's also a really good chance that boundaries are not always easy for you. And so this is one thing about setting aside 5-10 minutes in the morning for yourself, is that it's a micro action, it's a micro step in boundary setting. Because by you being available and choosing yourself, choosing to prioritize yourself first, you are setting a boundary around the things happening outside of you that can wait for 10 minutes, right? So it's not selfish to take those 10 minutes. It's training your nervous system that you matter, that you're a priority, right? And this is what all of this work is about. It's not just about slapping on a practice, slapping on a habit, and that's going to be the thing, right? Like it's about creating safety in our nervous systems. and communicating a different message to our nervous systems. Like our nervous systems get so used to the chaos and so used to the drama and so used to being pulled in 20 different directions that the idea of stillness, the idea of like intentionality and like taking care of the self, it might not feel safe. And that's okay. But being able to take that step 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day and building yourself up, you're going to start creating a safety within your nervous system that says, oh, actually, like making myself a priority and being available to this, like I'm safe to do that. And actually, it ends up being really helpful because the more that we can connect with this, the more we can be in the present moment. And to me, our presence is our presence is our power. And so when we are no longer functioning on overdrive for the sake of like getting all the stuff done, or because these are expectations or the pressures, whatever the things are, when we can activate presence within ourselves, we're activating a power within ourselves. And by us being able to be present with ourselves, it ends up creating more presence in our relationships with people too, and like and more authentic, in my experience, like more authentic connection with people, right? So like when we can prioritize ourselves, it ends up being a win-win for everybody involved, even if people give you pushback for you wanting to take up some time for yourself, because I also have experienced that. I experienced it in my marriage when I would start setting boundaries. Now, this is kind of a different conversation for another time, um, but I remember experiencing, being accused of being selfish, and and that was his experience, at that time. And I mean, that was a long time ago too, but that was his experience, and he got to have that, and I get to have my experience, right? So like, no matter what, you learning to give that 5 or 10 minutes to yourself and creating a safety within your nervous system that says, hey, I'm actually safe to be in this space. I'm actually safe to move slow. I'm actually safe to just be. It's going to have a ripple effect. It's going to have a ripple effect because by being available for that, it actually makes you more available to what truly matters. The last thing that I want to say, I know a lot in my journey, hearing the words permission granted was really, really helpful for me to start healing the internal, because of the ways that I was so, for all the years that I was so immersed in church, I was constantly looking to the pastor, to the leaders, to my peers, everybody around me. I was constantly looking for um, direction on how I'm supposed to like live my life, because I was so afraid of making mistakes. I was so afraid of doing it wrong. I was so afraid of being seen as bad. I was so focused on being good, um, that I was constantly taking cues from everybody around me around what that was supposed to look like and how that was supposed to be. That in the beginning of my own healing journey, being able to hear the words like permission granted, Jess, like permission granted. And here's ultimately the thing. We are the only ones that can give ourselves permission, okay? So hear me on that. But also, friends, permission granted. Take up some space for yourself, okay? You you won't regret it. You freaking will not regret it. Okay, so this is the exercise I want to give you that has been so helpful for me in my journey and the different seasons that I've been in. And it's a journaling exercise, and it can be however short or long as you want to make it, whatever it works for you. How it works is you write out what you're available for today, and you write out what you're not available for today. So it could be just one line for each, or you could brain dump. Now, I have a lot happening up here. there's a lot of swirliness that happens over here. So I will often do like brain dumps when I journal. And sometimes I need to just, sometimes I can go until I'm done. And sometimes I set a timer for myself, because sometimes I can just like really riff. And that may or may not be you. So if it's not you and you just want to start off with like one line for each, then do one line for each. Um, here's two phrases that were really powerful for me, because ultimately what I feel like in this world, we are either operating from a frequency of fear or a frequency of love. And a lot of what I realize in the church from my upbringing is that there was such a hypervigilance on doing things right that it kind of breeded a fear, like an undercurrent of like a constant fear of messing up, a constant fear of doing it wrong, which is where perfectionism like totally cranked up in my life. And so like fear was an undercurrent constantly. It's like, and being like feeling shame for feeling fear. And it was trippy. It was crazy. So I would write, today I am available to let love be my teacher. And I am unavailable to let fear be my teacher. Even just those two phrases were so supportive for me. And then I could continue, like, I'm available for abundance. I'm available for synchronicities. I'm available for um aligned open doors. I'm available for you know fun and play and really fun connection with people. I'm not available for drama. I'm not available for um yeah, for things that drain my energy, whatever those things are. Okay, you get the gist of it. But even just doing this practice for a week, I'm so curious how this will be for you and how this could support you on your journey. And I'm going to, even though I've been in and out of a season, I think a few weeks ago, I was like in a season of using this a lot of like, okay, I need to set some boundaries internally for myself. I'm going to do it this week. So, and I would love to hear. You can DM me. I'll have the links to my different social pages that you can DM me. You can comment here on the video. I would love to hear how this exercise is for you, how this whole conversation is. And maybe this exercise can be the thing that you do for yourself in your morning practice for the 5 or 10 minutes that you give yourself before you start your day. Um, and I'm going to end with this. So I offer private coaching currently, just one-on-one coaching. I don't have any like group programs or anything right now. I also have a free online community. It's called Authentically Empowered on Skool. I'll share the link down below. But what I want to speak to specifically about my private coaching and mentorship program is a 3-month immersive experience. And I also have a shorter taste if you want to dip your toes in the water. I have like a 5-day coaching experience that I'm offering, and it's like super low fraction of the cost. But the thing that I have found is always so important for me in my own journey and hiring coaches, mentors, the number one most important thing has been, do they support me on my journey rather than them tell me how I'm supposed to live? Like, I have worked with so many coaches that have been so supportive, tapping into the answers that are already within. And so I truly believe that I believe that all of the answers to your life are within you. They're not within me. They're within you. And so my job and my role is to facilitate, is to be a guide, is to support you in uncovering what those answers are so that you can live the most satisfying and fulfilling and authentic and truest truth in your life. And so this may not be for you, this may be for you, whatever it is, but like if this is something that you want to lean into more in your own journey, if you're feeling this pull to awaken, to have support, to have accountability, like accountability is another one that's like super important to me. So if you are someone that also resonates with that, then let's have a conversation. There's going to be a link where you can set up a one-on-one connection call with me so that we can see if this is something that could be a fit. And seriously, if it's time, let's go.